Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Monday, October 14th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Nebraska game is in 12 days. The game against Michigan in 47 days. The Ohio State Buckeyes are back home following their 32-31 loss to the Oregon Ducks. Everyone had a lot of thoughts after that game. Everyone had a lot of feelings after that game. Chief among them, the Ohio State Buckeyes themselves. Obviously, a very frustrating loss for the fan base, but probably even more so for the Buckeyes. So what went wrong? Well, we're going to do a 2-day spectacular on that game, starting today with the defense. Felt like after the game, more people wanted to talk about the issues with the defense, so we're going to start with the issues with the defense. We're going to do that, letting you hear directly from Ohio State head coach Ryan Day, as well as defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. Let's start with Ryan Day, and let's start with the big plays, because that felt like that was the big story of the game. Buckeyes allowed 0 plays of 30 yards or more through the air through the first 5 games. And then 4 different Oregon Ducks had plays of at least 30 yards through the air on Saturday night. 69, 48, 35, 32. So, okay, Ryan Day, what went wrong with those explosive plays?
We're going to have to obviously go back and figure out what the common theme was, but there's a few things that we could probably point to. I mean, there was some long throws down the field where they got behind us. And, and there was some runs that split that weren't fit correctly. And so there was more than just one thing. There was a missed tackle on the pull there that Gabriel pulled, and that was a big play in the game. So I don't think it was just one thing, but we got to play better.
This next one, sometimes reporters ask similar questions, try and get a little more detail, a little bit of a different thought. This question was, how do big plays like that happen?
I mean, we got to look at it all. I mean, the ball got by us twice like that over the top, and something that we preach a lot is X plays and keeping it in front and making them work the ball down the field, and it didn't happen in this game. So it starts with coaching, and we got to coach it better, demand it better, and drill it better in practice.
The Buckeye offense on Saturday night put up 6.9 yards per play, scored 31 points. In a typical game against a good opponent, that's usually enough to win. But the Buckeye defense, well, they allowed 7.6 yards per play and 32 points. Just a little bit worse, but just enough to lose the game. So is this a loss that you kind of look at the defense and say, this is on you?
I don't know. You hate to point fingers, and so I'm not going to do that. I mean, this was a team loss, and, the offense had a chance to go in and finish it off at the end, and it didn't happen. I felt like we were in field goal range there, and we wanted to keep adding to the field goal, because if you do, every time you add 5 yards, it increases it. You take a brutal penalty like that pushes you back. It's heartbreaking, but that's football, and so the offense had a chance to go win the game at the end.
Next up, Ohio State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. First question was pretty simple for him. What went wrong?
Got to do a better job coaching. I mean, that's it. That's the bottom line. I mean, we didn't make enough plays. I didn't think we were outstanding in any area. Felt like we were always behind, and it was uncharacteristic, and we got to learn from it. We got to practice better. We got to coach better. We certainly, our players are certainly good enough to win that game, and we talked about winning it on defense, and we didn't get the job done.
Gave you the stats earlier in the show on how good the Buckeyes had been at limiting explosive plays, especially through the air this season. So why did that not happen on Saturday night?
We didn't execute. I mean, that's coach speak, but I mean, we didn't execute. We're doing the same things, but when you play a better opponent, you got to raise your level, of our game. And I just felt like, our guys, we just need to coach them better. We need to get them in better positions, focus on the details, make sure that this loss doesn't beat us twice. Fix the problems, coach harder, work harder.
One contributing factor to those big plays was the fact that the Buckeye pass rush really did not get home at all on Saturday night. 0 sacks. They had just 2 tackles for loss all night. Just 2 quarterback hurries, both from JT Tuimoloau. So what was it that made it so tough to get to Dillon Gabriel?
He does a good job of stepping up in the pocket. You know, we knew that he's a really good quarterback, and you know, what we had didn't work. So we certainly need to evaluate that whole process and plan.
Denzel Burke has had a really solid 4-year career with the Buckeyes. Almost unquestionably, Saturday night was the lowest point of his career. He was targeted 8 times. All 8 went for receptions, including several of those very big plays. This was clearly the toughest competition the Buckeye defense had faced so far this season. Is that maybe part of the struggles, the reasons Denzel Burke had those struggles on Saturday night?
It's you know, my job to create that in practice. I mean, that's players that we have are always going to play to the level of their training. So that comes back to me in coaching. But yeah, we got to find a way to ramp up that competition, to simulate those situations in a better way.
When a player who you know has a great track record and really established history of being such a good player like Denzel Burke, and he's having a night like that, what do you say to him? How do you try and help him through that?
I would just tell him he's a great player and that we love him, and he knows, and they all know, all the bad plays go on me. So me, the whole defense, we need to learn from it, and we're going to get more chances. So we got to take that away, and we got to find a way to get better.
The Buckeyes are off this weekend. We'll be back in action in a little over a week against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. This is going to be a week where there is a lot of soul searching, a lot of fact finding inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center as the Buckeyes and the coaching staff and all their analysts and the players try and figure out what went wrong and how to make sure it does not happen again. Buckeyes, not all is lost. I know everyone is all panicky and everyone's very concerned. Buckeyes dropped to the number 4 spot in the AP poll. That was it. Not a huge plummet. The poll voters kind of recognized that game for what it was as well. 2 very good teams playing a very close and competitive game, and 2 teams that will probably, quite likely, play at some point later on in the season as well. So whenever that happens, if that happens, we will be there. We'll be there for the Nebraska game. We'll be there for the Penn State game and the whole rest of the season. Tony, Kevin, and I covering the team at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Our covering recruiting, got our whole team of X's and O's gurus there to make you a smarter football fan, and we will have a couple of Ross Fulton shows this week, hopefully, to try and get a little bit of a deep dive on what went wrong in a couple different spots and what went right for a couple different spots for the Buckeyes on Saturday night. You'll have that to look forward to this week at BuckeyeHuddle.com and at YouTube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.